Okay, so that hill over there, that triangle hill right there, that is the hill that we were seeing that had the clear cut on the north side when from the video that I took at Dexter Reservoir. So I'm looking east and I'm gonna pan, and now you can see the next, that whole ridgeline there is all clear cut. And now I'm coming down into the flatland that is just to the south of Dexter, the town of Dexter. And that in the distance is Parvin Butte with the flat top on top. Okay, notice that it's no vegetation. Well, a little bit on this side, but other than that, this side is really bare. Okay, so what I did was I turned into the town of Dexter onto Lost Creek Road, and then I followed Lost Creek Road out, and it kind of goes around a couple of big corners that they've got the bright yellow, you know, with the black arrowhead on it, and turned to the right on Mount Zion Drive, I think it's called. It's a dead end. And I'm probably about, I don't know, a quarter mile in or so on that so that I can get a really good look at Parvin Butte. Parvin Butte used to look like that other hill, this one, right? Fully vegetated practically all the way to the top. And long back, good way back into the 1940s, 50s, something like that, the Union Pacific Railroad actually started mining Parvin Butte for the gravel that it could make out of that basaltic andesite rock. That's part of the Western Cascades province, and basalt makes really good roadbed gravel for not only roads but also for train tracks. So the Union Pacific had this quarry that they used, and that was before all of these houses, or at least most of them. Okay, so most of the people living out here moved in maybe sometime, 1970s to till the modern time. Okay, so Parvin Butte sat there, and it was like a local landmark. The high schoolers, one of their rituals for the graduating seniors was to hike to the top of Parvin Butte. And a lot of people would just hike to the top of Parvin Butte because there was a trail going up there. And that was just kind of something that people in Dexter did. And then back in the early 2000s, that was sold to a couple of brothers and another man who have been in business for a while with each other. And they reopened the quarry, because apparently once there's a quarry, it's always a quarry. And they had to get certain permits, but it wasn't really all that difficult for them to do because of the fact that it had already been a quarry 50 plus years before. So how do they make gravel out of a hill like that? They blast. And of course, there's all kinds of machinery, and the dump trucks coming in and out, etc. Now, when I drove in on Lost Creek Road, I went past a road that went off to the right called Parvin Butte Road. That road goes down right almost on towards the bottom of that. I mean, there's like a little bit of tall trees between that road and the butte. And there's houses all along there because Parvin, the creek, there's a creek that runs right along the base of that butte. So what's the deal? Right now it's quiet, but the people who lived here, they petitioned the Lane County Commissioners to please not let these guys do this type of work on the butte. I mean, these people that moved out here, why did they move out here? It's because they could have a little bit of land. It was relatively inexpensive. They could have a little bit of land. Maybe when you're in a rural setting like this, usually it's 5 acres, as small as you can go. And to make your tax bill cheaper, You could have a couple of cows, right? You could have a couple of cattle that you could, buy small, and then when they get bigger, then you butcher them for your freezer. Goats, llamas, alpacas, horses. I mean, if you have livestock, that makes your tax bill cheaper. And a lot of times people who move here, to put a house in here, that's a manufactured home. So they didn't actually build it themselves, but I mean, they had to have it put here. They came out here for the peace and quiet and for the fact that they would have room for their livestock. So what do you do when you've got TNT blasts going off periodically during the day? Now, one time I came out here with my class. That's the male lady there. I came out here with my class, and it just so happened that the lady that lived at this house came out to her mailbox when I was here with my big vans from the Lane Community College. And we talked with her about this whole situation with Parvin Butte. This has been at least 4 or 5 years ago, I think, since I've done that trip where we included Parvin Butte. And she was saying that they were supposed to give 24-hour advance when they were going to be doing blasting, and that they would tell people the time, right? We're going to be blasting tomorrow at 11 a.m., something like that, okay? Well, half the time or more, they never gave 24-hour notice. And most of the time, when they told people they were going to be blasting is not actually the time that it ended up happening. So there was no regularity to it. There was no way for the homeowners here to know when those really loud noises were going to happen. And I'll have to do some investigation. I'll try to put that in the lecture notes with this video as to what's actually going on with Parvin Butte right now. But it's sad because look at it. And when the neighbors started fighting these guys, and undoubtedly they knew that these people that had the houses around here did not want them to do this. And one of the three in this business partnership actually came out to the press and said, we're going to take it completely down until there's nothing left. So now that it's privately owned, nobody can go up there, and would you want to make a hike on that road? I mean, there's a road that now goes up there. You can maybe see the cut over on this side. Would you want to hike that butte now? Never be the same. These same guys approached eWeb. This same trio partnership approached eWeb a while back and wanted to buy rights to the Mackenzie River water. They wanted to buy part of the Mackenzie River water flow from the eWeb because eWeb, the Mackenzie River water, is the water source for the city of Eugene, right? And it's really good water. At least it was before all the fires happened up there. But eWeb, fortunately, was wise enough to say, no, we don't want to do that, because if these people, when you go into a partnership like that, or a guarantee that they can have a certain number of gallons of water, they wanted to ship it to California. They wanted to, I don't know how they were going to do that, but they wanted to pretty much take it out of the Mackenzie River and ship it to California. And they would have been guaranteed a certain number of gallons a year or a month or whatever increment, regardless of how little or how much water there was in the Mackenzie River. They would have been guaranteed to have been able to take a certain amount, and eWeb said no. These are also the partnership, at least one or two of them. If you've ever been out to Lane Community College within the last year, if you drive over 30th Avenue, there's a pretty good-sized tract of land to the west of Lane Community College that was clear-cut, and that was going to have a housing development put there. Now, being out in the countryside, they're supposed to have a 5-acre lot, but these guys, they know how to get around the system. Instead of buying all that piece all at once, they bought a little bit now and a little bit now and a little bit now and a little bit now, and there's something about small plot size that if you own a small plot, the system might allow you to break it up into smaller pieces easier than if you've got a huge amount of area that you want to do that to. And so they wanted to put that into like shoulder-to-shoulder housing unit on that ridge to the west of Lane. Same dudes. And I'll write more about them in the paper guide that'll go with this video.